Our mate on the front. That is Paul hanging out his washing. That's when he had COVID, as you can tell. Right, from last week. If you remember last week's Zoom, I think it's Colin brought it up about the yellow sulphur and the green sulphur. This is all you can get now. I've still got green sulphur because I had it. It's got to be 3 years ago when our supplier then, for our trading sheds, anything that was going off the market, gardening wise, he used to let me know. And then I used to buy him out. And I had the last of the green sulphur off her. And I think I got 1.5 left. But that was banned. Trying to find the difference between the green and the yellow. I think the green is just a bit stronger, but they're both the same in the sense that them are sulphur. And
where am I?
Sulphur is an important secondary nutrient for all plants, a vital component of many amino acids. It is essential for efficient protein production, plant nutrient and soil acidifier. Yellow sulphur helps to grow strong, healthy flowers, fruit, vines and vegetables. So I also know to use that on my vine this year. Evening, Keith. Good to see you, sir. Roland, sorry, mate. I missed you then. Yes, Roland.
All it is, I believe the green sulphur's got copper in it, where the yellow one hasn't.
Ah.
That's where it gets the green from, I think, the copper.
Yeah.
All right.
Good man. Excellent. That's what we need. Right, something else from last week. Suzanne mentions the cormlets. When to put them out and whatever. Now this I had from I think it was John, to the bottom of the letter, John. I think he was at Pilgrim, something like that his name was, but he was in the British Gladiator Society. I think he passed away last year, but he used to dish out cormlets to members of the Gladiator Society, and this was a few years back, and he sent me this. I grow my cormlets in 10 litre pots, about 20-21 for large cormlets. Give cormlets room so they can produce good size in one season. I grow in a professional peat, bark, grit, but many use Johnnings number 2 and number 3. Give it good watering after planting. Want some water from the base. You could put a sharp sand or grit on the cormlets for better drainage. That's I use vermiculite. I grow mine in a polytunnel on gravel along the sides. Obviously a cold tunnel. I lift them late. This is late October, November, so they have a good long growing season. And give feeds of high potash, which is with most flowers at the end of the season. Peel cormlets before planting, so you plant clean stock, i.e. there's none going soft, anything like that. And he sent me for that. So I hope that little one helps you out a bit, Suzanne.
He doesn't say when to plant them, does he? Or have I missed it?
You can do them now or in the next month, as long as you keep them under cover.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Do you have to take them out at the end of the season?
No.
Out the soil?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah. You got to dry them off.
With like
They probably keep in the
like a
polytunnel,
normal
don't they?
pool.
But I mean, all the shell growers lift them, do they?
Yeah.
yeah.
You said
Because
don't.
with like spring bulbs, I'll just leave mine in and they just keep coming up.
You said don't lift them, Mick, if you don't want to. Last week.
The cormlets.
What happens is if you leave them in the ground and the cormlets grow, you get loads of them. So they've got no space, they're all competing for the same nutrients.
Right.
So if you plant them individually, you'll get a much bigger, better corm than what you will if you leave them round the parent plant.
Yeah. So if you get, once you've got the proper corm, or whatever it's called, then each time it grows each year, you take the cormlets off.
What you do
at the end of the year, you harvest them, you then take the cormlets out. If you leave them in the ground, you'll just get loads of them, all in the same space.
Think
And
of it.
you won't get a decent flower.
I know what you mean,
think of it as the kids while they leave home, them always sucking the nutrients out the parents.
That's why I look like I'm 96. Yeah.
True fact, that, Nigel.
Oh. All right, thank
Right,
you.
moving on. I put a couple of photos also on last week about this new chap who's joined the British Gladiator Society on the Facebook group. And I found out he is in Pakistan. And that is the size of his field again. And this was a recent photo, and this is from a downpour. If you remember last week's couple of photos I put on, he was flooding the beds himself, but obviously they've had rain. And this is another one he's put on. And that was a photo from end of last year, so that's when he's ready to send them on to sell, whoever he flogs them onto. So he does it goodly. So Ben took a photo of me last week, jobbing the whole lot. There's some little chaps,
Great,
some weird natural chaps about it. I love it. Right, my raised bed needs putting together before they start the lawn tomorrow. Right, if you remember when I had these 8-foot sleepers. No, they're not. I'm bloody under 8 foot. Meaning, if I go back onto him, if I take that as an 8-foot sleeper, measure halfway, 4 foot, cut him in half, then I've knackered myself up because I'm not 8 foot. Don't forget, I want these ends, when I've chopped this in two, these will be the ends of my raised bed, so they've got to be the same size.
How much will them each make?
I forget. Andy will know, he'll come on in a bit. He'll work it out for me. Right, sawing through him, because I was quite chuffed about sawing through him in one go, i.e. nice and clean. But it was obviously helped myself when I was drying him out on the cover, and I had that fan on him as well, so that made a bloody good difference. I collected that lot up for my compost, natural product. Right, that's bunging him out on the patio down the bottom. Luckily, as I've seen, it's been just stopped raining, so I thought I've got to get it done ready.
Is that stopping there, Mick?
Is that what?
Is it stopping there?
No, that's where I'm going to put it together. And he's
Oh,
good up there.
okay. Okay.
So get him nice and level, get my brackets out. As you can see, the slabs ain't level, i.e. I'm beveled. So my brackets, I wedged them underneath to get a nice...
Didn't get them off Colin, did you?
No. I still got them up the yard if anybody wants one. Going cheap.
Right, so that's that lot done. These are nice and flush. And if I go back on that one, you can see where I've sliced that in half. So when he goes up the top of there, when they've done it, that'll be turned round so them are facing uphill, so you can see it. But I've got some more wallop to go on this once I've been done. And I've also got 2 of these from B&Q. These are nice and solid. I had 2, so I've got 4, meaning when this is 3i, which it will be, then we'll have a strut down there and down there, keeping the 3 of them together as well. Of course, they're moving anyway, but just in case. And that's whereabouts he's going in the lawn. And the missus wants a bit of a not a patio area, but a circular slabs, just to put a big tub on. I might get 3 lots actually, or something else. We'll see where it goes in the road. Right, something else off the gardening groups I'm on Facebook. If there's anything on with raised beds, compost, then I nick these as well. Anybody see who that is?
Eh?
Yeah, me anyway.
Oh,
No, it ain't me. I love the bananas.
Somebody just come on, we got interference with you. Can mute yourselves.
oh.
Yeah, sorry. Done now.
Right, this was just when I saw this, that one there, that is brickwork. So I don't know what that is. Then of course seen that being a raised bed or whatever. But obviously these, you can see they've made these together, and they was just they've given it when they've used the compost or whatever they've made. They've given it a good soaking, and now I'm just covering to stop it evaporating, obviously. And I have asked them if they could give us a photo of the brew they got underneath, or what they do put in there for makeup, and I'm still waiting for a reply off there. Also from last week, I put me bit on about me eggshells, where I wash them out under the tap, get all the crap from inside the eggshells. Once they are dry, then I microwave them on a low heat for about 7 minutes, just to make them nice and brittle. I then bring them in the garage. This is a nice strong plastic bag. I then crush them up by hand in the bag, meaning the bag's strong, so it ain't going to come through there. Now I get my blender out and bung them in the blender.
Nick,
That's better. Yes.
can you whiz back to the ones where you're assembling them, the sleepers? I've just had a thought of something on that.
Go on.
Where you're putting that strapping on, the one with the metal holes in.
Yeah, the 4 pieces are.
If I was you, I'd seriously consider making an L-shaped bracket out of a piece of that, about 1 foot by 1 foot, and screw it to the outside. Because I think when you move them with just the inside brackets on, they're going to prise apart the woodies.
I do.
There's 4 obviously lifted. We'll have a corner each.
No, I mean, it well stays square, it'll buckle when you lift it.
Well, me and Ben lifted it before he legged it back. Only moved it a couple of, say, 10 inches or something. But we had no problem there. I think with 4 of us, 1 on each end, 1 in each corner. I think we can get away with it.
I did that when I built my raised beds out of builder's planks, just put brackets on the inside.
Yeah.
And the will belly out, the corners will. And I ended up putting a strap around the outside of them, and that stopped it. Worth considering if it does happen.
Oh, I'll put my brain into gear.
Food for thought.
Thank you, Nigel. Right, so this is smaller now. The worm's going to chew it better. So that's my compost chopped up, green kitchen waste, which I nicked out the skip last week and all. That lot's gone in. Right, my wires which snapped left hand side of the fence. This was the way to the plants and the winds that we had in the last year. I've got decent wire up anyway. You can still see the bottom one still on there. Plastic coated wire, but which, let's point them out, which you can see down there. There's my wire, which is thicker than the previous one, i.e. because I'm going to have the same year again, the same amount of growth on, or a bit more because everything's going to grow. So I've got a stronger wire, and I'm going to staple it onto the timber again, which I've done there in just about make the wire out. And the plants which were on them will probably go up Wednesday. The people that are coming down to do my lawn, a couple have got COVID, so there's only 2 of them coming now. It's going to take them 2 days instead of 1. Possibly him on Dinner Road. Right, another good one. Butterfly eggs, tiny and look like 7-sided stars. This is a picture of them on a leaf. Isn't nature weird and wonderful?
Oh, look at that.
Perfect, symmetrical, every one. Weird. Jobby Dog getting on like that, whatever that was. Right, because I'm sparse tonight for filling the place up, I've got a bit more grub. This is what we right, I like me cooking. I like doing me fried. Well, used to get these fried rice microwaved. Less hassle. But I thought I'm going to do some of my own. Got a bit of time. So a normal cup, drinking cup, frozen peas, boiling water. After 5 minutes, I tip that boiling water out and put some more boiling water in. That's the peas ready. I then scramble egg, about 3 eggs. Chop and dice the onion up, red or white, don't matter. That's too big. Slosh it up again. Then all that's mixed in a bowl. That's me extras what's going into the rice. I just use a simple rice from Lidl. Do just for us two plus extra. So it's just a cup full and then 6 cups of water to it. And I add a bit of turmeric just to give it a bit of colouring. Bring that to the boil and then simmer, and it will go through all the water, no lid on, nothing. Comes out perfect. So that lot is mixed with that lot. So I've got my fried rice, oven chips, sweet and sour chicken. That's what Ben wanted before he legged it up.
Looks like tomato, doesn't it?
And the spare rice, that was frozen. Right, blue dragon, the world's most beautiful and rarest mollusk. Their diet consists exclusively of man-o-war jellyfish. How the hell does he get onto a man-o-war jellyfish? Look at them. Obviously that's somebody's hand. So there's the little chap. Look at the detail on that.
The one-eyed demon.
Weird. Nature, love it. Right, our schedules.
Yeah, I got it, Mick. I got that. You sent me. Thank you.
My good man. Because we have in the back end of the schedule, the more money you can get, the better. Meaning, to all our general meetings, we have a raffle that brings in money as well. When I do my talks, I've got another talk again Monday, and I always ask them if they have raffles. And it's surprising how many gardening clubs do not have a raffle. I say I don't donate garden related raffle prize anyway, and they ain't having one, so they must be loaded. But another way of making money is advertising, which we've done here. That's Woodcraft Aloe. He gives me 20 quid, and all I have to give him back is fruit and veg throughout the year. Graham, who lives not too far down from him, is my hairdresser. He gives a tenner, and I just have to give him one blank leak out the show. Shinar's Balti, we had our delivery tonight. That's what we had for tea. He had his schedule last Sunday, and he bought me a tenner up tonight. So I got a tenner off him. Buddies, flower place down Colligate, I had a 10 off her last week. Terry, he gives us 20 quid. He has a large onion. Ashwood Nurseries, although they only give us vouchers, it is 60 quid. There's a 30 quid voucher, 20 quid and a 10 quid voucher. And he has our heaviest onion in the show, and he advertises that at his nursery. Now I put a tenner in because I got my advert in. And there's Craigstown, see, which is where our venue is. So the schedules as well, I've sent that to Steve, Big Blake, Neil and Chris and Steve Chambers. That was Else, won the Worm Wheel last week, if you remember, so I sent a prize out to her. They have a good win. There's 2 in there. He's judging our veg this year. So there's one for David and mate. Jason Sandy sent a schedule to him. He's doing our cakes and bits and pieces, wines or whatever. There's Derek Walker, he's judging the flowers, and then all the troops, the Zoomers. So the schedules are going out to them. If anybody's interested, like Jeffrey, I've emailed him the schedule, whatever the word is called, however, I don't know. Right, these in the greenhouse, my little chaps I picked out a couple of weeks ago. The sun comes up here and goes down here. We ain't got much sun, but when the sun is out, obviously you can see everything is legging it over that way, going towards the sun, which is what they're doing. You see them a bit closer there now.
Well, then make leeks,
Onions.
onions.
So all I'm going to do is turn them round so I'm facing that road. Now I'm going to get my wires out because I get a bit of length on them, i.e. they can't stand up on their own. Some of them can, but I want them upright. So I'm going to help them out. So I've got my wires here, two different lengths. 6-inch as you can see, and 10.5. Whatever. So I'll start with the first ones. With a wire, I just, if I want them 6 inches, I cut them 8 inches and then curl that around a little container, which is a glue stick. That gives me a nice round washet. So they've all got them in once they reach that size, obviously. Push these straight at the bottom, and you can see I'm keeping them nice and upright. I'm just helping the plants out. Less stress on them if they've got to lift themselves up. Just as a little slightly pick me up, I'll give them half a drop of liquid fish. That's in a 1.5 litre of rainwater, tepid, nice and tepid, so that ain't going to shock them. And this was B&Q. They flogged the, as you can see, the small wires £4, and the one a bit thicker is a £5. Wilco ain't bought their garden stuff out yet. Well, they've just started now, but they ain't bought their wire out. Wilco is cheaper than B&Q.
Which one do you have, Mick?
Wilco.
No, I mean which size wire?
Both.
Okay.
For the small, because there's no weight in it, you can use a thin wire.
Yeah.
And later on, use a thick, until you just use a split cane.
Yeah.
With a yellow strapper, green. Look at him. How's he coming on to that?
I have done.
Oh yeah.
I have, yeah, for our last dog.
You ain't got a photo.
My boots and everything was it.
You get a photo?
Somewhere, if I can find it, yeah.
You should have laughed, really, should you?
I'll tell you what, we had one of them thick Chinese rugs and that was chucked over the top of the telly. Picked that up and we threw it over the television.
I'm sorry, I'm a dog lover, but that would be getting both barrels.
Well, we lived with cardboard for the next 6 months. We like repatched the sofa up, but it looked just like that. Yellow leather sofa it was.
How do you repatch it up?
Just lay cardboard down it and throws over it, so it looks till we got a new one.
Right, I've asked for a few photos we are composting. Colin had put one on last week, and Andy sent me this one. I think it's his bin at home. Look at that, excellent. If it does look a bit wet, just put a bit of a shredded cardboard, newspaper in. It's not coloured or glossy, and dried out a bit. But that looks okay to me. Perfect. Well, we got hold of him. He also mentioned stratification. A few months ago on one of the Zoom meetings, I think it was Keith who mentioned about plants he got from one of his trees. but could never get them to start via the seed themselves. Someone I recall mentioned they may need going through a cold patch, etc. Anyway, I had these seeds bought me for Christmas, and it tells you the best ways to germinate the seeds, i.e. put them in the freezer first. Somebody else has mentioned this a while back. I don't know if it was Nigel or what. And then the fridge.
I do it with me sweet peas and all sometimes. You
Oh.
can also nick them with a penknife, make an all just to get through the outer casing.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Ray, you got your hand up, mate?
Yeah, you don't put them in the freezer. Put them in the fridge.
Yeah, fridge.
I've done mine this week for the miracles and larches. They'll stay in the fridge for a couple of months and sort them in some damp compost.
I've just done mine today in the fridge.
Yeah. Don't put them in the freezer. In the fridge.
Not the freezer.
There's something else called gibberellic acid as well, which you can use.
What it is Nordman fir. He's got the seeds, and it mentions here store the seeds in the freezer for 1 to 2 days.
No.
Whether it's just for furs or whatever, I don't know.
That's Christmas trees, isn't it? Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Go on, Mick. Nigel.
So them Christmas trees they are, Nordman.
Yeah.
I think what you've got to remember is you're trying
The tree that I had.
I think what you're trying to do is to mimic nature. So if, I don't know, roses, whatever, if they're in the ground and it's frozen to -5 for a week, it's not going to kill the seed, is it?
That's right.
Nick, can I ask you a question while I'm on?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, I've got some chili seed or some chili in the freezer a couple of years ago. I'll get the seeds out of them. Will they germinate?
Yeah, I think so.
You reckon they will?
Yeah, I think if you thaw them out and they're not and they don't rot out, I think they probably will.
I'll give it a whack.
Well, give them a go.
Cheers, bud. I'll give them a go.
Oh, give them a go.
I will, definitely. I've got to get them out the freezer.
And that's the seed he's got. Well, not the seed, but there's the end result.
That's about 10 years, that is.
That's the seed he's got.
Yeah, about 10 years.
So, thank you for that, Andy. Right, a light ash before and after a winter storm. Now in Moloch, I'd be on night shift in there. Halfway through the night, I want to fiddle.
And wake up.
Open the door and get out.
Oh, you got some de-icer?
Bloody Nora.
I'll buy
a big scraper.
That wore down Portland.
No, definitely not.
Right, fossils. I love this. This was found in Western Australia a couple of months back. Look at that. That is a corker in it, eh?
Yeah.
Whatever they are.
And like octopuses, are they?
Yeah.
Baby octopuses.
Squid octopus, yeah, pretty impressive.
Is it?
That's beautiful, that is.
Very impressive.
More impressive in the belly. Squid and octopus.
I like my fossils, that's mine. And this is from Nick's place, Lyme Regis.
Yeah, I was just about to say, we've got we live when I say where I live on near the Somerset levels, and where my factory is, we have got, and I'm not exaggerating, thousands and thousands of these things. Not the Jurassic Coast, which I'm about 20 minutes away, but yeah, it's just incredible.
Man.
Got to get mixed some.
Yeah.
Right. Wheel.
The Wheel of Fortune. The wheel.
Wheel of Worms.
There he is. Paul, you feeling lucky, boy?
No, I never look. I've done much luck lately.
You've had a
I
week.
pulled a muscle in my wrist. Last week.
All right.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
no.
go
Go on, a
again.
bit more.
Wow. Nice one, Jacko.
Jacko.
Nice one, Jacko. Oh, sorry.
Jammy bleeder.
Whatever that is.
Whatever that is.
Right, another natural photo. I've had to find all these out because I've got no, or very few write-ups off people. Meaning, that's an apple tree, obviously. And it's been frozen for that long. If you look closely, you'll see the thickness of the ice around the tree itself. And these have rotted off and dispersed and just left outside of the shape of the apples. Superb. Another good one. Oh, and I managed to get me a speaker.
Who's that?
Nick the Baptist.
No, it's
Nick the Baptist.
nice link.
No, it's
No
not
way,
Lee.
that's never Nick.
Well, if you remember last week, he was
Gee
talking about
whiz.
fishing.
It's a conga. It's a conga, isn't it?
Conga.
Yeah, I think it was
Yours,
Steve.
Nick.
You were talking about fishing and catching cod, weren't you, last week?
Yes, mate.
So I looked up and said I caught a 42-pound conger off the beach. Well, that's it. That's going back. So what am I now? 55. That's probably going back 30 years ago.
On the south coast.
Yeah, down on the south coast, off a beach called Seatown, which is probably about 20 miles from Weymouth. So yeah, I caught that night, and also had that night, and I can't find a picture of it either. I think it was a 9-pound bass that night as well. So
Wow, I'd like to have seen that.
yeah, so I used to do a lot of competition fishing for clubs and that sort of thing, beach casting, distance casting. And it's funny, that night, I know people, it sounds a bit boring, but that night there was me and a chap fishing, and I caught this. I also had a 4-pound Dover sow that night.
Wow, that's a good record.
Yeah, no, the Dover sow's bigger than that. I think it's about 7 pounds or something stupid like that. But anyway, I was so chuffed with the congaree. I walked up the beach, and a friend of mine was fishing called Mark Wickington, who's a hell of a fisherman. I walked over and said, "Oh, I just had a 42-pound, about a 40-pound conger," because I couldn't weigh it there and then, so I never had the scales with me until I got home. And he said, "All right," he said, "Have a look under here." And he pulled out a bass about 14.5 pounds, which made me feel pretty sick. But anyway, that was a bit of a battle to get that one in.
So you bagged up, did you, Nick?
Yeah, but it's the story was, back in those days, if you catch a decent fish, I sold the bass to a local restaurant, which I got about £2.50 a pound back then, and I gave the congaree to a Chinese restaurant. And I had a couple of free Chineses, so you can guess when you have your Chinese meal what was in that.
Oh no!
But that was so I wasn't married at the time, never had the children. So actually, it's going back over 30 years ago now. And how long did you bring it in, Nick? I can't remember. I think it was 20 minutes, something like that. 25 minutes. I used to take a gaff with me to gaff it in.
I bet it like bringing in a dustbin lid, wasn't it?
Well, it just took off, like it's on the ratchet and the clutch. It just kept going click, 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 click. And I hit into it, and I thought, yeah, that's a decent fish. But anyway, cut to the chase. I took it home, and we lived in a bedsit at the time, and I brought it in and put it in the shower. The wife was not amused.
Stinky shower.
I ate cod this week.
So 30 years on, I'm a bit fatter, no beard, but I'm bowed. So that's what age does to you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Okay, moving on to the onions then. So these are my onions that I've set down for seed. The two ones that look golden are quality onions. They came off what I showed last year. So I can't remember how big they are, 4, 5, 6 pound, maybe 5 pounds. And they're a Peter Hoden strain, although they're my own seed. I've been growing Peter Hoden strain for about 2 or 3 years. I don't call them my own strain because they're not. They come off Peter Hoden. So hopefully they'll produce some good stock, set down some roots and produce some good stock for next year or next winter when I start them away again. They were, and I put some vermiculite on top.
Yeah.
And also you can see I've got saucers under all of them. So basically water from the bottom, get the roots down, and then they'll start showing up growth. And the left and the right are heavy onions. They're not massive, but there's some stock I had off. Last year I wasn't going to grow and I got given some plants. So these are the stock off this year that I showed in Birmingham at the show. So that was a 12.42, 11.2, and there's a leak in the corner which would probably get binned because I think it's gone double. And you wouldn't want to probably send that for stock. So I'll probably bin that, see how it goes, and get some fresh stock off some friends. But
what's peg for, Nick?
Sorry?
What's the peg for?
Nothing really, just to give you a comparison in size, really.
Okay.
That's all. I do use them sometimes to clip the leaves further up the cane sometimes, but not often. So, yep, that's the stock.
Nigel, got a question, mate?
Yeah.
Nick, how many generations are you going to let them go before they call it your own? Because, in effect, that is your seed, eh? It's like saying we're more related to Henry VIII if you go back far enough, but we ain't called Henry VIII. There's some stage where you're using your seed.
I don't think it's fair. I don't think that's really fair, to be honest, Nigel, because I tend to keep them. I don't think I want to call them my seed because I know where they come from. I haven't crossed them, so they're the same generation as such. I think if I was to cross if I was to cross the heavy with the Peter Hoden, pollinate them in the same area, then I could call it my own strain.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, you got it right. Yeah.
I think I don't think that's the right thing to do personally.
Growing it with the same seed, you like replicating the strain without bringing any new blood into it, in effect.
Yeah, and I think there becomes a time where we all know that strains, whether it's a potato or a tomato, they all become tired, and disease can set in, and that can have an effect on them. I may this year put one of the quality with one of the heavies. I don't know, but at the moment I'll probably take the heavies up to the polytunnel. And keep them separate from the quality.
Right, okay, top.
And next one. And that's the sort of shape of the quality onion. So you're looking for a good shape, a pear-shaped onion.
Good shape, that is.
Yeah, it depends what the judges are looking for. If they're all uniform, but I quite like that. This is the Peter Hoden strain, so it's got quite a pear shape to it. I pulled them fairly early in the season. I probably could have let them go another pound and a half if I kept them going, but then they wouldn't have been ready for the show. So I tend to pull them, the quality, around sort of end of June, early July. And it normally takes around 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes a bit longer, depends, to ripen them off. And then, as you know from the shows, you tie them, but they've kept over winter really, really well. And you can sit, if you go back a stage, Mick, can you go back? If you look at the big onions, the 12-4 and the 11-2, compared with the quality, I've had to start them off a lot earlier. As you can see, the purpling on the right-hand side one, that's where it's starting to rot down. It's rotting. So I've actually, this picture was taken about a week ago, I think, so I've actually stripped that down a little further. The right one's turning into 3 seed heads and the left one's turning into 2. But the smaller ones are easier to keep. Heavy ones are difficult.
How have you stored the Peter Holdens, Nick?
The big ones, I've stored them upside down in the garage. So upside down in the garage in a thick cardboard layer, and I let the onions run. So it takes a lot of the moisture out of the onion. And then around end of October, beginning middle of November, I just lay them down on them side and keep turning them. But they will start, when you're talking 11, 12, 13 pound onions, you get bigger than that and they do rot quickly. You then, about November time, you've got to get them into soil and get them rooted down.
Do you get any shrinkage with the moisture going out of them?
Yeah. I expect if I weighed them now, not now, but you'd probably lose couple of pounds, over a period of 3 months, 4 months. The key thing is to get the roots down and get them set. Once you've got the roots down, and keep stripping back, I just keep them in my grow greenhouse now. You'll be able to see it a bit further on, but that's what the judges are looking at. There's a few shallots, not really bothered about shallots, but I got a centrifuge, so I put them down. They're just coming to life. Just chucked a couple out, actually, they're rotting. I'll probably get them outside within the next month or so, but I might get a few of them. So this is home, needed a bit of weeding, but I chucked some broccoli in around end of September, I think, beginning of October, small plants, and they're just beginning to see some heads. Hopefully with the light picking up now, I should have a good supply of broccoli. Grandson loves it. And that's just at home, just a few veg to eat through the spring. And you can see, so they're looking quite nice. And I can't remember, I'm really kicking myself now. I can't remember the variety. And it's not Iron Man for sure. I know you said that, Nigel, about the Iron Man. It's a good variety, but I'm really pleased with them. They're quite healthy. So just a meal, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Can I ask a quick question? How do you not get like whitefly and that on them?
I do spray them. So I do spray them with a thing called Ultra Bug Killer. I use that probably every six weeks. Just give them a spray. If you get a nice day, spray it on. And you do get the odd caterpillar and bugs and that on them, but it's not too bad as long as you keep them clean.
Okay.
So here's some aloe vera. I don't know if anybody grows aloe vera. I've got a couple of varieties. So basically these are I call them the pups or pips, whatever you want to call them. They shoot off the side of an aloe vera, pull them out, put them in some soil, and they're just sat in the greenhouse growing away. I was given a plant 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I've probably grown 30 or 40 plants off that mother plant, and the mother plant is still going. So it's just nice and just grow them on. And in fact, in front of me, I've got 4 or 5 plants that are quite good. They're ready to probably sell them on. You can normally get about 3-4 quid each of them. Just helps it. It's easy enough. You haven't got to do a lot. So there's some lemongrass. I've overwintered that. I think it was back in spring last year. I just put some seed going, put them into tiny little pots, kept growing in the polytunnel in pots, potted up, and then it sort of slowed down towards the end of summer. So I'm hoping. I haven't even cut it back. I've read people that say cut it back. You've got to cut it back to overwinter it, but actually I just haven't touched it. All I've done is put a bit of water to it, and I'll probably grow that on in the polytunnel through the summer. Yeah, I mean, it's good if you like cooking with Thai curries and that sort of thing. So it's just I find it easy to grow. Anybody else grow it?
No, I have done.
Okay. It's very pungent as well. If you rub your leaves, they look similar to like a piece of grass. Yeah, lemongrass, but it's grass. If you rub your fingers from the bottom to the top, you smell your finger and you think that is really strong. So it's quite expensive as well to buy lemongrass, but it's just another.
Last year.
You did, Susan?
I did it last year, yeah, but it died.
Oh, okay.
I did wrong. It was outside though. It wasn't in the greenhouse.
Yeah, I think you can grow it inside and outside, but it's quite it likes a warm environment.
When it got like heavy and up high, it just seemed to die off.
Yeah, no, I haven't had that trouble in the pot so far. I'll let you know how I get on next year.
Okay.
Or this year.
I've still got some seeds, so I can grow some more.
I think it's very slow growing to start with. So these are I'm only growing a few leeks this year. I'm growing 8 for show. I'm not growing 20, 30 like I grew before. I just haven't got the space. So these depend to improve. These are off. Okay, Nigel, I'll take me fame to this one. These are my stock. I've had this going for 5, 6 years. But it's not my stock. It's a variety called Pen to Improve, but it's off grass that I've taken. Decided this year not to do so many because I just haven't got the time I've got the space, but I just haven't got the time to do it. So, yeah, that's it really. So they've been potted on very shortly, but they're a good size. Happy with them at the moment.
Are they under lights now, Nick?
Yes, they are. Yeah. So that's another thing I was going to lead on to. So this is a side view of one of the grow tents. I've got some Peter Clark quality onions and some Vin Thorpe. Don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's quite an oak grower now. He used to be in the 70s, 80s. He used to be a top quality onion grower, and he's still going. And I got a friend of mine who said, I've got some seed. He said I could have. So I feel quite privileged to have those seeds. So that's another quality variety. And I'm growing 12, 24, 30, 48 of the Vin Thorpe and the Peter Clark. I'm not growing
I don't know whether you remember last year, towards the end of last year, Mick sent us some Vinthrop, whatever it was.
Oh, no, I can't remember that. How do they do?
I haven't sown them yet, to be honest, but I should do really.
Dennis sent us a seed from South Wales.
Okay. So they're just in 12-cell modulars. They've only been going since...
Yeah, they were Vince Troop. They were Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what they do this year. I thought I'd have a bit of change, not to grow the Peter Hoden variety, to grow the Peter Clark and Vinthorpe and see what happens. You never know. But Vinthorpe, he won a lot of competitions back, 20 years ago. Hell of a grower. So I'll give them a go. And they'll just stay in the grow tent. You'll see a bit more on the next picture.
I've got some of those Peter Hoden, but they're very, very slow, and I don't understand why.
Peter Hoden, I'll tell you a little secret about Peter Hoden. Probably one of the best growers, show growers in the UK with onions and leeks. He grows, and the reason he does so well, he doesn't plant any seed. He takes all of his onions off pips.
Yes. How do you actually get pips?
How do you get pips?
Yeah.
Okay, there's two ways. I think I explained this once before. There's two ways of getting pips. So what happens is when the seed head comes up, it creates a flower head. From that, the bees pollinate it, and then you normally find the inner area where the flower head meets where the stem meets the flower head. The bees can't get to it, and that creates the pip. You can also, as before the pollination stage, you can cut them back like you can a leek, and it will create pips. It will just force the plant into basically a state of, right, I can't pollinate, I'm just going to reproduce the same genetics as I produced off the same of what I produced last year, if you understand what. Does that make sense?
Is that what they mean by shaving, Nick?
Yeah, shaving, yeah, exactly. Yeah, they do it with leeks a lot. They'll do it right at the end of the season. They'll shave the head sort of September, October time. And sometimes it creates the, I call them bobies or pips, whatever you want to call them. But they're like a replica of the plant.
Okay.
But so moving on then, in there's some big onions in there. Couple coming your way, Mick.
Good man.
And also in the 4 little pots there's some tomato plants. So I've got a competition going on the Giant Veg group. So we're trying to grow as many tomatoes on a plant by the end of April. So these are just dwarf micro tomatoes. In fact, they're about twice the size of that. I took this about a week ago. It's amazing how quick they go. So inside the grow tent, this grow tent, these are in 5.5 litre pots with a mixture of compost. Anybody wants to know, give me a shout. I won't talk about it now. And they're under 12-hour lights. And there's about 300 watts of raw power going into them, which is about equivalent to about 600 watt CFL or a T5 at about 20 to 23,000 lumens. So quite strong and quite expensive to run, but they do the job. And these are be potted on into bigger pots.
Nick, when you say 12 hours of light, does that mean 12 hours of total darkness, or do they get natural daylight as well?
No natural light at all, or artificial.
Okay.
But saying that, Nigel, that's interesting you said that. It's funny because next weekend I will change that. I'll open up the grow tents and they'll sit in 12-hour lights from, call it 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night with the LEDs going with natural daylight.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And the next one, Mick. So there's the other grow tent. These are a bit further on. These have been growing since the beginning of October. These are in 5.5 litre pots, bit of ventilation. I've also got some, so they're not in a grow tent, they're in a homemade grow tent. They've got a material called Orca reflective material, which is about, your Myra in a grow tent, it's about 75 to 80% more reflective. It disperses the light. It's expensive stuff. It's about £100 for, I think, 5 meters. Yeah, it's quite expensive, but it's a lot of the cannabis growers use it. It brings your plants on really well. It reflects the light very well. I said it is expensive, but if you want to win it, you got to be in it as such.
Paul, what a question, mate.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I put your hand down. I'll put your hand down.
Yeah. The trays, you got them in, Nick?
Yep.
You water the tray, do you?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things I do. So when I pot on into that 5.5 litre pot, I water from the bottom for about 3 weeks.
Right.
Don't touch the top at all. And then when you start inspecting, you see the roots coming out the bottom, do the complete opposite. Put water, use a little, like a rose can, and water around the outside of the pot at the top.
Yeah.
What that does, it creates the roots. A lot of people think, I see a lot of growers, they take the pot out and they've got lots of roots at the bottom, nothing at the top.
Yeah.
So they haven't really actually utilised all the soil and nutrients. So actually, stop watering from the bottom, water from the top, the roots will come back up.
Yeah.
The roots are not going down. The roots won't, all the roots will do on any plant is search for water.
Yeah.
And the roots will come back up and it will create a massive roots. And you use all the nutrients in the soil. Just keep the water away from the bulbs. And it's the same as any plant.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, cheers.
So they're in 5.5 litres. They'll go into 11 litre pots probably in about 2 to 3 weeks' time. And temperature is set at 15 bottom. And I try and keep the ambient the same. And lights, I've got twice the lights going in there as I've got the other grow tent. So I've got 600 watts of power, equivalent to 1.2 kilowatts of. It's a bit like using if you've got a 400 watt CFL, it's a bit like using 3 of those. And I haven't showed the comparison pictures, but looking on, they're probably about 2 weeks ahead of where I want them to be, but they're fine. And the next one, there's another picture, just a comparison of the size where we are. In fact, that's sat in the soil. I hear quite a bit in news. People might have heard of Livingston's M3. Yeah, so M3 is a very high nutrient soil. And everybody was moaning about the bits of wood in them this year. In fact, I think it's a good thing. Wood holds nitrogen. Onions love nitrogen to start with. It's a well-balanced feed, and that's mixed with. So that mix is M3, F2 plus sand, some Vitex compost, general purpose compost, and some vermiculite.
I like that onion, Nick.
So do I.
I love that onion there.
Let's hope it produces something big.
Yeah, that's looking really good.
Yeah, we'll see. Never count your chickens before they hatch.
No,
long way to go, but yeah, they're all right. I think proportionally, I think they're really good. I
did that once in the bloody fox had it.
So there's a few growers on Facebook. There's a couple of growers that got my stock, and I don't mind admitting I've given them my stock. And Mick's got them, Graham Barrett's got them. I've given quite a few growers them. There's a couple of growers, one grower in particular is a lot bigger than this, but I think he's way too early. But I think I'm pretty much on the button to where I should be.
Good.
Nick, do you know, are you on the group on Facebook called Life at the Allotment?
Yeah, but I don't use it very much, Suzanne.
Was Nick Herring? What's his name? Lee Harrington.
Yeah, Lee Harrington.
He grows really large veg as well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and I grow them as well. I've got growing big tomato. I've got some cracking seed this year. I've got some 9.5 pound tomato seed.
He's local for us, Lee. Please.
Yeah, Lee. Yeah, it's not that I don't post on them. It's the problem is Suzanne. I don't call you Suzanne.
That's right.
I just haven't got the time to be on all these groups. Last year I was on about 8 or 9 of them, and I couldn't keep up. And people think I'm rude that I didn't reply, so I sort of limited myself this year.
You can see his pictures, can't you? I mean, you can still see him. You don't have to post on it. I mean, I don't post much.
No.
He's got a really tidy allotment. Really.
He has. He puts a lot of time, and his mother puts
and his mum as well. Yeah.
Is he from down the line?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Down the line.
The bank.
He lives near Trevor.
He's down the line, isn't he?
Perrin's Lane.
Yeah, he's local. He's
not far from us.
Yeah, he does a lot of work.
I've got his mug as well. You know, he did the mugs.
He come to our meeting and he wouldn't pay to come in.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I pissed him off.
He's a funny bugger.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's another story. There aren't a lot of
Yeah.
us growers. I fall out with people and that sort of thing. But anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, the giant veg shoes. I'm quite into the giant veg. I've got
Yeah.
I'm doing quite a few this year that I've got seed, some pretty good seed that I'm
Yeah.
hoping to do well in. But that's another story.
Yeah.
So moving on, Mick.
Have you seen that Mark Rayner on, Nick?
Yeah, I know Mark very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Mark very well. He's growing my stock.
Is he?
Yeah.
Nick, you got a bedroom?
So yeah, I know Mark. He's growing my stock. I sent him some stuff. I won't say what, but I sent him some stuff. So he's growing my stock. He's doing very well. Good grower, heart of gold.
Nice guy as well.
Sorry.
He's a nice guy as well.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. I've spent a lot of time with Mark on Teams or Zoom or Messenger and talked to him quite regularly. Him and Nick Pengelly, both of them are growing my stock this year.
Right.
I think Mark's probably about 3 weeks too far ahead, and there could be a casualty at some point. But we'll see. So this is the picture of the lights with the covers off. You can see the light intensity. It's quite a basic setup, just grow tents and heaters and just to keep it warm, some ventilation at the top, inlet and outlet air. Vitapods, which keep it about 15 degrees, and also a bit of a bodge job, but it's what I do. I put the heaters and I make sure the heat stays where it needs to go. It directs it over those the thermal boards and pushes it into the grow tent. So although we haven't had any real cold weather yet, if we do, I can still hold. As long as it's above 10, 12 degrees, it's fine. But so quite expensive to run. Just to give you a bit of an example of how much it costs. So you're checking out lights is a kilowatt an hour, which is about 25 pence an hour. And the heater is the same. So it's through the night, it can cost you between 45 and 50 pence an hour to maintain through when it's really cold. Doesn't run all the times on thermostats, but quite an expensive hobby, but quite rewarding when it goes right.
Do any hobby properly? It's expensive. Whatever you do.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. We go to the golf club. It's going to cost you $1,000 a year, isn't it?
Yeah.
And more.
Probably even didn't come April.
Thing is, when it is a hobby, you don't really mind.
Yeah, it's I think the key thing to anything like this, if you're doing it to this, I say extreme, if you're that focused and dedicated on it, you've got to put the money and the effort. If you don't,
Exactly.
it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Just don't tell the missus.
Yeah, I think that's it, Nick. I think.
Yeah, I'm right.
Yeah, that's it. So I'll keep you posted in a couple of months' time, see where we are.
Good man. Cheers for
Thank
that,
you.
Nick.
Nick. Nick.
Cheers, Nick.
Right, saw him walking down the road yesterday.
God, Nick, you got some nice pair of legs.
Now that is genuine.
What, down Colligate?
Yeah. Didn't get free, got locked up.
Good leg in it.
Whatever it is. I should find out what they are, aren't they? Right, another wine was I think I did this one in Jeffrey. Yes, mate.
It's a secretary bird.
Secretary
eats
Bird.
snakes.
He's a good lad, yes. Where's he from?
Africa, I think, eh?
Is it?
Antwerp Zoo here.
Antwerp Zoo.
Antwerp Zoo.
It is a weird one. Right, I'd a perv of this chap. It was due because I put it on the calendar early January, check for clearance. Spud. If you remember, I did this one end of July. It's one of the best ones. Potato gin.
Oh man, I'm coming up. Give me 5 minutes.
Nice and clear. So I picked him up very slowly. He was over there. Transferred him from upstairs, obviously, out the airy cupboard. Overnight, I placed him in there. And then when the hound has cleared off out the kitchen, I then placed it on here slowly, so there's no disturbance, all the crap on the bottom. Got me there roughly 4 bottles. I know I can get more than 3, so I get 4 ready. Plus my jug, any surplus. Get my tubing ready. That's about halfway down. Well clear of the crap on the bottom. First thing I'm going to do is taste it. I don't want to bottle it and then find out it's crap. So I'll taste him first. And it is superb. Remember this one, Dave, when you're coming down at the gin. You can tell the strength on it. It's sticking around the side of that glass.
Have you got a tester, Mick? Test the alcohol?
No, I used to have one.
I had one years ago when I used to do wine.
I'd rather test it with my tongue. But Lynn's mate walked down it from the Caslon primary school.
Yeah.
Worked with Lynn. Lives halfway down our road. And I called her in.
That's right.
And had 10 minutes with the missus gear a break from me and the dog. So I had that much. I'd had enough. Well, I'd gone home. Lynn says, "Look, it's walking down the road." Meaning it's a good one. It's a proper liqueur.
Mm.
Right, half hour before, I've got 4 bottles, so I'm going to put 4 corks in. 3's in a cup of water. I then put that cup into that, meaning it's going to push all that cork in the water, and that water will soak up into the cork, which is what I want. So that's what I've done there. Now I can start doing the other bit. Luckily on this one I've got a little tap on the end. So obviously I suck that end. Once he starts coming through, then I'll bung him through there. You got to keep an eye on him. Make sure he don't come over the top of there or too close to the bottom of that. Gump on the bottom. Just get quite frothy when you put it straight down. You could put it into the side of the bottle, I suppose. Not get enough juice out. That's still okay at the top, looking good. Once the bubbles stewed out come to the top, then I'll stop and move to that one. And once all them bottles are just dispersed, then I will fill the up to the halfway up the neck, which they still ain't done yet. Right, he's getting close. This is a two-handed job, meaning when he gets to about there, just before this lot starts seeping up, I will tip that up so I can get more of the wine out, if that makes sense. Until the dregs start coming up, and then I'll just give up. So I managed to get 3.5 bottles out of it. So that's the right height I need for exhibiting. Don't forget all these bottles now, clear bottles, I use them for exhibiting. So I've got 3 bottles there, 3 years worth. Little bag of goodies, need my stickers out, i.e. them there for the wine. These are for me jams, pickles, anything I do. So I've got them 3 on, and there's my spare. In fact, Aaron's come tonight, and he bought his new girlfriend last week. If he'd have come tonight, I'd get a glass of that if I walked driving. So them 3 went back in the garage, and my stock is getting back up again. I shall probably do another brew next week, because I got an empty barrel again. While I'm in the garage, all my nets of onions, I'll give them a feel. Nick, mate, yes.
Heck, do you get through all that wine in the season?
We don't drink it.
No?
I like me cider. Mrs. likes a vodka. Don't drink any on it. I just use them as bribes or for showing.
Okay.
So I'm checking all my onions for firmness. Any softens, then I'll bin them. And any that have started going green shooting, I'll use them. But the rest. This was yesterday on the shed, 2nd week in the shed being open, and Jim bought some homemade Christmas cake. He'd made it obviously over Christmas with his 2 kids, and he bought us a piece, and he bought us a drink and all to warm us up. He's a good lad. Barnsley bitter, i.e. that's where he's from, so he bought that down. Boston drink. It's like drinking a mild, beautiful. That's the state of our lawn. That's why it's getting done. If I was I don't know, I didn't see the wire. Got bloody wire everywhere. Where it's digging up to stop her digging up. But that's why we're getting the lawn jobbed. And I'm starting tomorrow. Right, Jeffrey messaged me earlier on. He's got me a bit of work. He's a good lad. There's a few people around his way. He's asked them about if they'll do us. He's a couple of minutes on the Zooms, our Zoom sessions. I explaining about growing dahlias and whatever. But I'm gonna hand you over to Jeffrey. But basically, he's got in touch with people. He's given my email address. They're going to get in touch with me, and we're going to see if we can sort something out. Jeffrey, if you want to say a bit like on that one.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
If you look on the internet here, you can see specialty growers. So there were a few that grew dahlias, then a few that grew amaryllis. So I thought about, I've heard a few times here about Amaryllis Aftercare, that nobody knows exactly what to do with them to get them to reflower again. So I asked them if they would consider talking about this on the Zoom session, and they said okay. So I told them, look at YouTube, look at the Zoom session from Mick Boltney, the Compost King, see what you think of it, and if you think it's something for you that you could talk about, please help us. So there was one person that would like to talk about Amaryllis Aftercare, and also begonias and lilies. She says you can get lily bulbs, little bulbs from them. When you kind of put down, as soon as they stop flower, you lay them flat on the ground, and they come little cormlets from every leaf. So I said, okay, that's interesting. So that's called Farmer Gracie. She'll get in touch with Mick, see what she can talk about, and talk with Mick about how we can start her in. Then there's also one called Bulby, which is all bulbs for aftercare, and you can buy them there as well. That's also the Farmer Gracie one is the one that has storage facility and sent out facilities in Holland and in England, in the UK. So she can ship everywhere she wants. So the Bulby has depots in Ireland and Netherlands. So they could ship out through Northern Ireland to England. They're going to general all the bulbs, alliums and everything. And then there's one called Green Garden Flower Bulbs, and that's English based. They ship out to everybody as well, but most of their stock comes from India on tulips and everything. So every year they put on new varieties and everything. So those three have said yes already, and I gave them Mick's contact details, so maybe we'll be able to learn a bit from them. That's it.
Excellent.
Boston?
Cheers, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I also for Nigel, what's his name? Nigel, the one that does the gladioli.
Nigel Coe, yeah.
I'm looking for him. He asked me to look for growers here or in Europe that I can find, because a lot of garden specialists stopped growing or crossing new dahlias in England. A few have closed. So I've said, okay, I'll have a look around. So I'm going to look around for these now. If I can find any in Europe that are still cross-breeding and getting new results, good results for large blooms. So I'm still looking for him.
Brill. Good on you, Jeffrey.
No problem.
So with a bit of luck, we're going to get some new speakers. That one, what Jeffrey just mentioned, Farmer Gracie, I had a quick nose on their site tonight. And besides dahlias, they do gladius as well. And I had a quick nose through the stock they've got. And obviously, they've got stuff which we ain't got over here. So that's good to know as well. But just put Farmer Gracie, and they do quite a few things. But Jeffrey's given my email, so I'm going to be in touch with him. And if they can give us obviously I want it free. because we're advertising them. I don't see why they should turn that down. But we can learn off them as well. If they got any good stuff, then we can also purchase from them. So
I've
that's
actually, sorry mate.
Go on, mate.
I've actually bought some stock off them. I'm waiting for it to come.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I bought it about November time. Ordered some dahlias. So I'm just waiting for them to get back to me when they're going to deliver them, sort of thing. So
normally they start delivery for dahlias only in January.
Yeah, I think they've
because there's a specialist grower here in Netherlands called dahlia growing Herk der Zand, and he's pure dahlia grower, but crosses everything his own stock. So he doesn't grow commercial dahlias. He crosses everything every year, everything that gets pollinated. He takes about 350 plants he's got every year, and he crosses them every year, keeps the seeds, sows them, and then the next year he shows you what he got out of it, and then you can purchase the bulbs, but you can't get the seeds. If you want, I can post a link on there too.
Yeah, that'd be useful. Yeah.
Yeah, but they only start shipping dahlias around January, 1st of January, around there.
All right.
Not before.
Well, I should be getting an email anytime then.
Yeah, I bought all the gladdies I showed you last year, Mick.
Yeah.
They all came from Farmer Grace.
Ah.
Like Espresso, Carnival. I don't know what all the names.
I just say I've had a look at their gladdies now this minute, and they got out of a selection.
Yeah. The
That's
Espresso
all right.
one is a good one.
Yeah, I remember the name. Oh, Brill. Thank you for that, Jeffrey.
No problem.
Good man, good man. There's another good photo. Look at that. That's a shot and a half in it. That got to have won something somewhere. Oh, big up the chap. Colin.
Oh no.
He's like
Amazon.
us, isn't he?
Amazon man.
Amazon kid.
He's gone.
He's
Yeah,
left.
he is.
Colin's left, eh?
Is he?
Yeah.
I'll talk it through then. He sent me a couple of photos, if you remember last week. He sent me a few of his compost bin. Because I was asking people to trial their compost, i.e. as a growing medium. And he was sifting his through last week. And now he's doing his raised beds. So this is a raised bed, as you can see there, or raised bed I should say, that he's starting preparing. Next photo, and there it is complete. So I should say that lot there is top dressed with the compost that he sieved last week, if I can remember. So he's going to have a good brew in there, whatever he's going to grow into it. But he's cleared off, so we'll find out next week.
Good idea with them gravel boards, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I hope he's going to cover that. The foxes will have a field day in there.
Did you see all them gravel boards down Park Lane, Mick? You know where they've cleared that ground?
Yeah, I did.
They've smashed the lot up.
Oh, Jesus.
There must have been 300 of them. And they bust the lot up.
Sacrilege.
Couldn't believe it.
It's a bit of advice, actually, a bit of a heads up for everybody, actually, where you see a lot of companies building new houses. They're putting in plinths for concrete and that sort of thing. I know from experience, because I do projects with this sort of thing. Everything is chucked away. Everything is just broken up and chucked away. Whether it's a lot of scaffold boards, a lot of wood, 4x2, 2x2. If you see a building going up, have a word with the local, because they normally sub it out a lot of the work, carpenters and that, and they just chuck it out. Say, can I take it on? It's worth asking.
Yeah, they've put a metal fence up round where they were. They've took the concrete down and put a metal fence.
No, but there's a lot of materials. I mean, these contractors to take this project on just say £100,000, whatever, it might be 10 million, and at the end of the day, everything's paid for, and it's too much trouble for them to keep any of it, and it just gets binned.
I've had a lot of plastic pipe and also the the debris net in the whack round scaffolding.
Yeah.
I've had quite a lot of that. Say it's just going to end up in the bin. Just ask them when they're nearly finishing, and they'll save it for you.
Yeah, that's it. They just go and pick it up. The amount, most projects are costed at about 10% over, 10-15% over. So 15% of building materials will be chucked away.
Yeah, normal crap.
Yeah.
Well, if you got one of these, which you get in Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, Bolivia, the fruit grows directly on the trunk and the branches. Tastes like blueberry yogurt. That'd be perfect, wouldn't it? If you can grow something like that. Can we? No. Right, back garden. Stuff started coming through. Had a bloody good frost again last night. But these are bluebells, white bells, and other little chaps coming through. So spring is showing a sign. And this was took this afternoon. There's an azalea there. He started coming through. He's still in flower. The flowers dropped off him. But it is winter. We just want bloody spring here, don't we? So we can crack on. And Ben put this on this afternoon. He's down, obviously, Victoria Park, London. And there's loads of wild parakeets. And he managed to get somebody took a photo of one. And he was feeding them down there this afternoon. And Aaron come tonight for his grub. And in the post during the week, he got Rosie's Christmas present. It was a bit late coming. Once we got the hound off it, I'll show you what it is. But it's a feed and water mat, which will go in the kitchen, because there's only a bare one. But this is a nice little present for him. Right, things to do next week. Quite a few people have got their onion seeds for the 8-ounce onions in already, or 8.8 ounce I should say, for exhibition, but then we'll be going in next week when I've got time. And that's it, people.
I've got a question.
Yes, mate.
It's completely off gardening, but it is a question. Well, it's not completely off gardening. I'm thinking about where I've got my land, and I've got a fruit cage. I've ripped out some gooseberry shrubs because nobody ever wants gooseberries. And actually, if you look at my picture, can you see behind me the fruit cage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in there, I've got blueberries. I've got some black currants and red currants. So I'm going to keep them in there. I've ripped out all the gooseberries, but I'm thinking about putting quail in there. Has anybody ever brought up quail poultry? Actually, not mixed poultry.
Very small.
Yeah.
There's a
quail, I've had them inside, never outside for me.
Okay.
They'll lay within 6 weeks from hatching. 17 days to hatch.
Nick, if you have a look on the chap called the Veg Grower podcast, he keeps them.
Yeah, I've had a look all over YouTube, and there's loads of videos on how to do it. I'm thinking about buying an incubator and buying some fertile eggs and doing it. I just wondered if anybody had any experience with them, because they look fairly easy to look after.
They are easy to look after, but one of the problems is they need a high percentage of protein in the food.
Yep.
And you can't get it all year round.
Yeah, I understand I've got to feed them and water them. I just wondered if anybody had any...
The problem is getting the right sort of protein. They live on chick crumbs. They will live, but they won't thrive on it.
Yeah.
You need turkey starters, or turkey,
that's it.
And also game starter. But you can't get that all year round.
Yeah, I've seen the feed you need. I just wondered if what I'm thinking about. I've read several videos on them. It's the incubation bit. I understand the brooding bit, in a heater and that sort of thing. But I'm just wondering how long. Sort of they get to 4 weeks, and you can basically, they're saying you just put them outside.
Well, you can put them outside if you like, as long as you got a bit of shelter for them.
Yeah, exactly. Like a chicken hutch or something.
Yeah, but the thing is now with the bird flu, you have to keep everything under cover.
Okay. When you say undercover, what do you mean?
They can't be exposed to bird droppings.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I keep exhibition poultry, and I've had this letter through from the government. Yeah, I'm registered with the government as well, but you have to. I've kept chickens all my life. I'm 70 odd years old. When the next lot of food's nearly out, I'm going to break all the necks and plant them.
When you say cover, just basically where you look at the back of my picture, then where the fruit cage is. If I cover that, it's fine.
Well, yes, but if any bird droppings go in there, I mean, there's already it's already changed to humans in this country. Bird flu has. For years, I've been having free flu vaccinations because to keep poultry. And the reason why they do that is they don't want it to cross with the human flu, the bird flu.
Yeah, I get that.
At the moment, they've already had a case of one person, I think it's in Hampshire, he's got bird flu.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's all strictly monitored.
But I just think about the hundreds of thousands of people that keep chickens and guinea fowl, pheasants and everything outside.
Yeah, but they can't.
But
it's illegal.
It's
illegal now. They'll get done.
You're not supposed to let them free range now. They're supposed to be
can't let them free range.
Yeah, contained. So that fruit cage is probably looking at it.
Here in Belgium, you can use the fruit cage, but you'd have to tarpaul over it.
Okay.
Plastic over the roof.
Leave about 1 meter high. You see where you have the cross beams halfway up the cage. In Belgium, you'll have to put tarpaulin over the top and about to where those slats are.
That's not a problem. Okay.
Yeah, but it's like Andy said, if birds like wild geese, when they migrate or anything, if they fly over, they poo, it flies in there, it gets the disease that way. If it eats around the poo or eats the poo, then you have the problem with it. But when I kept quail, I also kept chickens at the same place. But what happened with the quail, if the chickens were about one meter higher, the platform where they roosted, and the hen house, so the chickens could run under there and the quails. But the quails, when they scared, they jump, and they jumped and they hit their head.
Yeah, break their necks.
And they break their necks.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem I had with it.
Yeah. Well, I think the height of that, from what I've got, I think the height of that should be okay. It's about 7 to 8 foot high.
Yeah.
Plastic on the roof, Nick.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Plastic on the roof.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Paul.
The thick plastic, the what they call it, corrugated.
Yeah. Just to run the water off, keep it off.
They do when they jump up, they scalp them. They scalp themselves.
Yeah.
Sorry, say that again.
One of the cases near me, they kept thousands of turkeys, all hygienic stuff, but they reckon that they had the big bales of shavings outside, and there was a bit of bird poo on the outside of the wrapper when they brought it in, and they had to kill thousands of turkeys because of that. Probably one bird dropping.
Because I think to myself, the amount of people that have got poultry, whether it's pigeons or whatever, around their gardens and doing what they're doing, it's just, I understand why you're saying it, but it's just not manageable by anybody to control that.
Well, no, it's not. I mean, I've kept birds all my life, and I've had enough of it now. I'm going to get rid of them.
Yeah.
There's too many regulations.
Lockdown at the minute.
Pardon?
I say all the birds are under lockdown now. At the minute, you call loose them out.
Yeah.
As long as them in a cupboard, running fine.
People don't know. Yeah. Here's one of the things. I get loads of these. I show my birds at national level. I haven't been able to show them for the last 2 years.
So would you say I shouldn't do quail or not?
Well, you can do quail. Keep them inside.
What do you want? What do you want to do them for, Nick?
Oh, it's just a bit of a. The fruit cage is fine, but I haven't got the time to keep the area weeds clean. I just thought they'd scratch around. I get a few quail's eggs, and I was thinking about that's probably about 3 meters by 5 meters, and I could probably do about 20 birds in there.
Nick, as long as they're on a covered run, you'll be okay.
You'll get hundreds in there.
Oh, okay, I don't want hundreds. I just want about 20.
You're looking at putting birds in. If you had a pen, like a rabbit hutch, 4 foot long, you'd probably have 10 in there, 12.
No, I'm talking 20 foot by 12 foot.
As long as you got all covered, Nick, you'll be fine.
Yeah, cool.
And then
that was quite a debate. Thanks for that. My last question is: so once they've incubated and you brooded them up into temperature, I'm reading about 3 to 4 weeks. You can stick them outside. Is that correct?
Well, they're like bumblebees on stilts. When they come out, they're only dead small. You know, you see the size of a quail egg.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're not much bigger than that, running around on stilts, and they'll fly. They'll go everywhere.
Yeah.
Put a photo on earlier on the AC.
They can get through half-inch chicken net.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because when I had them quails, I just left them incubate themselves in the chicken coop, and when I got into the garden at the end of it, I said, "What the hell? Oh, mice or something running around all around the chicken coop?" And I looked, and the quails just got through the chicken wire.
Yeah, these aren't going to get through
And
this.
Half-inch.
No, these aren't going to get through this. There's no bird or anything, a mouse or anything can't get through. It's all secured in with concrete and bricks, and so I'm not concerned about that. My question was, is it worth doing?
Keep them in a rabbit hutch.
No,
have a go, Nick.
It saves all the problems. Then they're undercover. Keep them inside the fruit cage, but in a rabbit hutch.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. Put a 6 foot rabbit hutch.
If they escape, you can catch them.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
No.
Put
But
them
when
under
the
the
bird
mesh.
flu's over, it was with us last year till May,
Okay.
and it started again in October.
Andy, I might send out a separate Zoom meeting for you.
Andy, can I ask a quick question on what you said? You said that you can't have chickens that are free range anymore. So
No,
where
you
do
can't.
where do the free range eggs come from that you get in the supermarket?
The free-range eggs that they get from the supermarket, allowed to run round every so often. It's
But they must be audited from suppliers.
Yeah, true free range you don't get now. You can't legally have them.
And yet you read on the. I mean, I get the happy eggs, in the yellow packaging.
You'll get the barn eggs and all that. And the deep litter.
I mean, if it's to do with hygiene, how can a battery hens? How can that be hygienic?
Battery hens, right? They won't lay if they're not happy. They've got food and water, and when they relieve themselves, it goes straight through. When they lay an egg, it rolls down to the front and it's onto a conveyor belt. I used to look after 4,500 laying hens when I was 16
I just don't agree with
years of
battery hens
age.
at all. I don't agree with it.
No, you don't. You don't have to agree with it, but it's what people want.
Yeah.
People want affordable food.
I'd rather pay a little bit more and get ones that are happy, ones that are out, that have got space.
But they're actually free range.
Suzanne, I think it's a bit of a myth with free range and what they do.
Definitely.
It's so many.
I mean, you see them on the telly and that, and they're all
Absolutely.
running around. I know they're in at night and they're out during the day.
That's
just for the TV. That is just for the TV.
But ain't true free range.
No, not ever.
That's a shame.
Bullshit.
Even when you got your own beds, they're actually free range because they are loose all day. You
It's
still got to
funny.
lock them in.
It's funny. Where I've got my ground, I've got a chap who got about a dozen chicken, which is about 300 yards away, and those eggs, I've never tasted anything like it. The yolks are like pure yellow,
Yeah.
They're 30% bigger than a normal egg. I get them early spring, and then he's got so many customers. He's got about 20 layers, I think. And I said, got any eggs? No, they're gone. And it's just incredible, completely different egg.
That's what
My
you give
friend
them,
used to have bantam hens, and they were gorgeous eggs.
If he gives them veg as well, that's the difference.
It all
You know,
depends
you know
what
what
you feed
battery
them.
and
Gives
it's
the
just
colour
pellets,
of the eggs, the yolk inside.
So the other question is, Andy, so I've read all about it. So when they get to about 4 to 6 weeks, you can put them outside in the cold in a rabbit hutch. They've got so much shelter. They've got somewhere to scrabble around, feed them what they need to feed, all the rest of it. And when will they produce eggs?
They can be laying it at the age of 6 weeks. 6 weeks. They're incredible, they are.
Yeah.
If you get the problem, I used to have them. We used to take a couple of dozen every week down to the auction to sell, but they've closed all the auctions.
Yeah, I get that.
The place where I used to get the food from,
Besides,
I could get it at certain times of the year, but not all the year round. And we're sending the food from right up north.
Yeah, they're quite high. They're quite high protein eaters.
It's going to be
chickens.
a high protein.
Yeah.
Turkey pellets, not the 17%. It's got to be at least 29%.
Really?
Protein, yeah. You go and Google it. Quail food.
My brother
Most people give them chick starter crumbs, and there's not enough protein in it.
My
So
brother
the
used to
birds
feed
become
them.
basically they're no good.
My
'Cause
brother
they're
used to feed them.
not being fed right.
My brother kept them till he stood on one, and then he got rid of them.
Why are you getting rid of them, Andy?
I couldn't get the proper food.
It's to do with the food, is it?
I just could not get the proper food. I could get it a couple of times a year, early on and late on, but I couldn't get it in the summer, and it wasn't fair to the birds. And I was selling lots of birds.
How do they get on in nature then, if it's that high protein food?
Well, they're eating insects, aren't they? They're eating insects, plenty of protein in the insects.
Yeah.
They're foraging round, and anything that goes, even the chicken, if it sees a fly, it's after it.
That's why they should be free range.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to give it another.
You get chickens in the wild, though, do you?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Andy. I'm going
You
to
know,
give
if
it
you go
another.
to India, hold on, Nick. You know, if you go to India, you know them rubber chickens that they have on telly as a joke. That's
Tommy
what
Cooper.
That's what their chickens look like. And when I questioned food, my friend's a chef. When I questioned this food, everything's free range, everything, and that's why you'll never get the same taste here.
Well, anyway, Andy, I'm gonna give it another to the end of February. Take 20 days, take 16 to 18, 20 days to incubate them. I'll give it a go.
17 days to hatch.
Yeah, so that'll take me to the end of March, and then I'll do what I got to do, brood them on, all the rest of them, and then I'll get them out in that pen. I'll put a rabbit
And then you
hutch
can
in.
do a talk on it.
Turkey starter crumbs you want. Turkey starter
Suzanne,
crumbs.
I'll probably show you a plate with 4 of them on.
And some eggs as
I
well.
bet they're nice, though.
20 eggs.
They're going to show is their manure, then you can get away with it.
Well, that was the other thing, Mick. That was the last comment I was going to make. Is actually it's a bit of a fertilizer as well, because they're very high nitrogen. So you clean the bed out once a week. Chuck it on your beds.
You need to get them to go on a potty or something.
Hey,
and just
guess what,
collect it all.
guys? Colin's in the pub. I just had a thing come up. Colin's live.
Doing that. He said
So
last week
he's
he
just come
wasn't
up-
going to go out.
He just come up on Facebook. Colin's live, so I imagine he's in the pub.
Yeah, you're right. He said he
Was
was
he playing guitar?
Our
is
last question is: Would you keep them, Andy?
No.
No. Have some geese.
Get some bantams.
I've kept them. I
Some
like
geese.
I'll have chickens. I want to have chickens.
Lovely,
eventually.
lovely sound when they start making a noise. It's nice, but I just can't get the proper food
Like a screeching noise. Horrible.
at a reasonable price.
Yeah, I'm not bothered about that. I think it's a bit of a hobby, bit of
Can't you
something
get
to
in
do.
bulk? Can't you
Collect
get
some
the food in
quail's
bulk,
eggs.
like once a year.
What they do when they're eating, they'll pick one and flick 2 crumbs away. Pick one, another 2 crumbs. So you're lucky that for them to eat a third.
Yeah, but
So if you buy,
surely
if
they'll
you
pick
buy a
through
bag
them,
of
won't they?
food, 2/3 of that's wasted. It's on the floor.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point.
And so
Mate.
what you'll do, you'll end up making, you'll have a little feeder and you'll have a hole for them to put the head in. So as when they flick the seed, you know, when they flick the food, it stays in that thing, so you don't get as much waste.
Nick, if you go on YouTube, there's an Australian guy that kept a lot of quails and that kind of thing, and he got rid of them, and he'll tell you why not to keep them, and it's all to do with the meat that they produce and the eggs that they produce. So nothing else. And he's as free range as going around his Australian garden in Queensland quite freely. I think they call him Nick, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen it.
He's an ex-army guy.
I've
Yeah,
seen
that's
him.
the one. Yeah, I've seen that one.
He's into his gardening, isn't he?
Yeah, go and see him, Nick, and have a look at his videos about keeping quails.
Well,
Shut up, you
I'll
old-
tell you what, all those comments, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give it a go.
Hiya.
Go for
Yeah.
it.
Good
There
for
you
you.
go. I'm going to give it a go, and whatever I do, I try and tend to do it correctly. So I'll do my homework, and I'll post up in 3 months' time with all the
Yeah.
eggs and
We
Yeah,
look
it'd be
forward to the.
interesting to see
my
how
roast
you're
dinner.
getting on.
You might want to get some nipple drinkers.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that bit as well.
Nipple drinkers, what they do is they
Yeah.
just peck the nipple at the end
Yeah.
and the water dribbles out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get
That's,
I know what you
that's the
mean.
same as when we're younger, isn't it?
Same as when you're 17, isn't it?
Thanks, Andy. Thank you,
I want
everybody.
to see Nick's face when he goes in the morning and they've got into his quality onions.
There's holes in the side of
Andy, have you got any for him?
They'll be in the compost bin, Nigel.
In the compost bin. And you got none for him?
Anyway, people, next week, if I ain't got enough people sending in photos or whatever, then I ain't gonna have enough to put on. So
I could send you some other stuff, Mick, from up the polytunnel.
yeah, I mean, I've struggled tonight. I've had to scrape. That's why you've got a load of cooking crap on.
No, it's been
Load
good.
of nature
That's
things.
good.
been good,
It's,
Mick.
it's, it's good, good to talk. It's good to
Yeah,
talk,
it is.
Mick, as well.
We've all met.
Mm.
That's it. We've all seen each other. Now bugger off because I've got something to do.
Steve, you was sending me photos 6 months ago. I'm still waiting.
Oh,
Come through the post.
me, mate.
Yes,
I'll
I'll get
send
a
you
couple of photos.
I'll send you some.
I'll send you some, Mick.
If I don't get
You'll probably get them.
He's there, you know, Steve.
Take
right,
some photos up the. I'll tell you what. I'll take some closer photos of the birdcage area, and you can tell
Yeah.
me, Andy, what you think.
We'll get. I'll get some photos off Nigel's muddy boot sites.
See you later. Take care, everybody.
See you, Nick.
everyone.
Bye.
Good week.
Thanks for turning up.
Bye.
Stay safe, you lot.